Okay, time to change the brakes. So, got me some brake pads from Dennis Kirk. Nothing really special, just, oh, sorry. These are the rear pads. So, if you were wondering, for a 99 Road King FLHR, this is the part number. And for the front brakes, I got two sets, right? So, I had to get two sets of these. So, they're for the front. And we'll see how this goes. I'm going to loosen these first. With the bolt removed, this will come sliding off, like so. And I'm going to two-hand this one to be careful. Okay, here's the caliper out. It looks like that this explains why I have an extra bolt in my front shoebox, because the pad's held in this way. So the outboard shoe pops out like this. So this obviously is part of the caliper, and here's the brake shoe right here. Actually, it's in pretty good shape, but doesn't hurt to change it. So here's the outboard shoe. This is what I was talking about. So obviously this shoe is the inboard shoe because it has that bolt nut there, and this is what came in the package. So I figured that goes in this hole here, and it's there for a reason, and this one doesn't have that because it's part of, that's the outboard shoe. So the inboard shoe has, put this down, has that. So I bet you that's what is holding in the shoe. Okay, this is the inboard shoe that I removed. So there's our screw hole here. Here's the replacement. Luckily, the exact same one, so good. Okay, so if you compare the old shoe with the new, gosh, my front shoe is really not worn down, but I may as well change the shoe anyway. So these shoes are pretty old, and what the heck. Okay, so in order to push the pistons and the caliper back to where I can fit it, I take the top off, right, and then I kind of leave the cap on so that when I press the caliper, brake fluid doesn't come squirting out and all over the place. So kind of like a catch-all. Okay, here's the outboard shoe, and also the same thing. It looks in pretty good shape, but again, why not change it? All right, so I put the outboard shoe in here, and it's kind of loose, but it'll allow me to finagle this thing back onto the rotor. So we'll see. Okay, now the rear brakes for the Road King. So unlike any YouTube video, there's like 4 bolts and everything. It's all fancy looking, and this happens to be just 2. So there's only 2 bolts here, and looks like the caliper does come off. It's not a single piece like I see on other models. And just in case you're wondering, this does require .5, and this is the rear brake pad. So only one set, because there's only one caliper, and Dennis Kirk. Okay, so I loosened the 2 bolts that are on the caliper, the top one and the bottom one, and it took a little bit of convincing. So I had to use my combo wrench as an extra pry bar for my ratchet. So I'm not sure what, that's got to be some kind of retaining pin. Can't focus on it right now. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to be real careful about taking this off. And I took a bunch of pictures of this caliper all the way around as much as I could. So in case I lose or get lost in the reassembly, I'll have something. It would also help to loosen the cap of the reservoir for the rear brake. So I'm just going to loosen it up, keep the cap on so that when I put the little pistons back in the caliper, that brake fluid doesn't start squirting all over the place. So I'll loosen this and allow air to come in so that I can take the caliper off. Okay, like on a video I've seen of older models, the caliper does come off. So the other ones, it was a one-piece caliper that was attached to the axle, but this one's not, it's separate. So you can see here that here are the shoes, and there's that weird retaining spring right here. So I got to remember where the heck it is. So, oh, sorry. So there's that weird retaining spring. I got to remember where it is. So there are the shoes. They're about to come out. I also have to remember the position of the shoes and which tab is where. Well, maybe I don't need to know which tab is where, because they both appear identical on both sides. Well, I was going to say I thought there was a pointy end, but both of them have pointy ends, and both ears at the top appear the same, and they both have these little holes here, no set screw like on the front pads, and that's it. I'll have to see what's up. Okay, so here are the shoes. They appear to have the same dog ears pointed at both ends, so, and all the holes are in the same spot, so that's good. And again, just like the front brakes, these shoes appear pretty good shape. A little bit of uneven wear here, right? So there's one thicker than the other. There is no inboard or outboard shoe. They're both identical, and the surfaces appear okay. So to compare with the new shoe, okay, so you can see there's almost virtually no difference. So I could have gone on with these old brakes, but the brakes are old, and I got the new ones. I may as well change, get the new ones on here. And guess what? I am going to save these shoes just like I did the front ones, just in case. So here it is. Got these little things here. Oh, I got the this thing wasn't put in here right, because apparently this spring goes in like this, actually, like that, and this end right here goes into a hole. This one was not in any hole. It was just kind of twisted in there. So I got to do the proverbial find the hole when I reinstall this. So interesting. So we'll see. I'm actually kind of surprised, but knock on wood, the new shoes went on easier than they came off. So here they are in here. Now I just have to compress the piston here. I got to compress this piston slowly so that it doesn't have all the brake fluid squirting out all over the place. I have the cap loosened, and now I'm going to go ahead and crank down on this real slow. I'll probably just do what I did yesterday. I'll just use a flat wrench, and just put it in here and just pull away. So, but slowly. Okay, I got the piston pressed back into the caliper. So what I ended up doing, the safest thing is probably to get a C-clamp and put the old shoe on here, and then press the C-clamp against the body of the caliper and slowly crank down. But I went ahead and I used this. I put it across here, and then I squeeze it basically, and ended up pressing it on this bracket here and just pushing down on it very slowly so the brake fluid doesn't squirt out all over the place. And I got it all the way down, so nice and even. Okay, apparently I found the proper way to put this retaining spring back in. So those 2 ends are supposed to go into a hole behind here, not the caliper, but this thing, the thing that's part of the caliper. So it goes across here just like so, and also in the back. Now it's in there the proper way. For years this thing was in the wrong spot, and I've never changed the rear brakes, but I don't stomp on the rear brakes a lot. So I'm glad that the shoes were in this condition when I took them out. So far so good. Okay, the caliper goes on way easier with the piston compressed. Now all I have to do, for this model, is put in 2 bolts. That's it. Make sure you put the one on top that you took off and the one on bottom. You don't want to change positions of any of the bolts. So anyway, you got to make sure that you kind of wiggle them in here, because make sure it lines up. So the best thing is to look at the caliper here with this part of the body. It's got to be smooth, I guess, even. You got to be even. I went with the top first, and then I had to move around with the bottom one, and it was hard to get in, but I realized, oh, this isn't even. So this was sticking up a little bit, and I couldn't fish the bolt in. But when I pushed it down, it made it a little even. Then the bolt slid in pretty easily. So now all I gotta do is button it up. Okay, just pump the brake a few times. It'll go down real easy, but you just have to pump it. Unlike an automobile where you have to bleed the brakes, you don't have to with these. At least none of the videos do it. And apparently the front brakes worked, because I did the same thing, and it's pretty tight. And I was able to test them, and none of the shoes slid off, so that's successful. This is in here pretty successfully with the new brake pads, and now the rear brakes are in. I just have to test it. So here's what it looks like finished. Still grungy and old looking, but it's got brand new shoes. So here you can see the brand new shoe, the back of it. Oh, there you go with the light. Okay, so there's the new shoe. It's on there pretty well. I pumped the brakes up. It's making contact, so that's good. And when I ride around, it'll act like normal, hopefully. So there it is. And see, I can't really see that pin. That pin goes into that little hole there, that little retaining clip pin. So that's how that looks. Here it is again. And see if I can get around this way. The focus is horrific. Okay, so here's the end of that retaining pin clip, whatever you want to call it, and it goes into a hole down here. You just kind of have to feel around for it. It's not a pinhole. It's just see this big circle right here? That's it right there. That's all it does. It just goes in here. You can kind of see that crater right there. That's the hole that this pin goes into, and it's the same thing on the bottom. So that's it. Success.